Hey everybody, it's Silver Seeker, and in today's video, we are going to be discussing the true price of silver and why I think you should be stacking stuff like this 90% silver constitutional junk right here, as well as pure silver like these silver maple leafs I have in this tube. Alright guys, I have quite a bit to talk about, so let's get started. Okay, everyone, so we know that the world is going through some tough economic times right now. Everyone's staying at home. A lot of businesses are closed right now, not making the money that they're used to making. There's people that are laid off from work. And I do know that the government has released a stimulus package to help that's going to be sending everyone some money, opening some small business loans at a very low percentage, things like that. And hopefully that definitely helps. But, there's a lot to be said for the fact that whenever you release a whole lot of money to people for free, that inflation doesn't exactly do well in that scenario. In fact, I can actually see the price of things going up quite a bit, not only because of the extra money that's been flooded into the economy with nothing behind it, but it's, again, to go along with that, the cost of production to get stuff out just because so many people are at home right now. So, I would worry about, things like that. You also have to worry about low supplies of stuff for businesses that currently are closed that would normally be producing stuff for us to buy. And all of that leads to an increased level of inflation. Now, I'm certainly no economist, and there's probably a lot more to it than that. Maybe I'm not even 100% accurate. But as far as silver's concerned, I've been stacking it for quite a long time. Now, way back, we used to be on what's called the gold and silver standard. And that's basically where the government, for every single dollar bill that they printed, they had a dollar's worth of silver or gold in a vault, to back that up. In fact, we used to have what are called silver certificates. And if you look at this old $2 bill right here, it says silver certificate at the top. And then it says this certifies that there have been $2 deposited in the Treasury of the United States of America. So essentially, you had basically a $2 bill right here. And this $2 bill certified that the United States has $2 worth of silver, and you can use this note, which is easier to carry around than $2 worth of silver, which would have been 8 quarters or 4 half dollars. You get the idea. So that you could more easily store your wealth. And the U.S. government was guaranteeing that they had the silver to cover this note. So you used to be able to walk into a bank, you could turn this in, and you could get 2 silver dollars. Of course, you wouldn't get one with holes in it, but you could get 2 silver dollars for this. And so we went off of that standard a long time ago, and going off of that standard is basically giving the government free rein to increase the amount of money that they have with having no backing of it whatsoever. Now, money is generally, valued based on what people think that it's worth. So if you walk into a store and, the store clerk thinks that his gallon of milk is worth $3, then, to him, your $3 are worth the same as his gallon of milk. The next guy could say it's 2, the next guy could say it's 4. It's only worth what people say it's worth. But if people start to lose confidence in the money that they have, if they start to lose confidence in the government that backs the money that they are using, then that money quickly becomes worth less. Now, the next day, the guy's like, well, I think I need 6 of those dollars for my gallon of milk, or I need 12 of them. But when we were backed by gold and silver, all of our money printed was backed by a finite resource. This finite resource that took, hours and hours of time to extract from the earth, to refine, and then to be stored by the government, saying that, hey, you have $10, we have $10 worth of silver to cover that $10. So that doesn't happen anymore. Now the government can literally just open up a computer and they can just put another zero at the end of a line. They can print a $1 trillion coin. In fact, I know there was a member of our House of Representatives that was pushing to have 2 $1 trillion coins printed to help with the situation that we're going through right now. What is the point of that? Like, if you were to produce 2 $1 trillion coins, all you're doing is adding extra money that has no value. The money was just created out of thin air. There isn't anything behind it to give it any value. There's no work involved. So, money can have value because of the labor that was put in to create the money. So if you have a guy that works, 100 hours and he gets so many dollars for that 100 hours of work, his money has value not only based on what other people think it's worth, but also value based on the labor that he put in to produce the money. If you just printed 2 $1 trillion coins, That doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything other than increase the amount of money with nothing behind it to be backed on it, like silver. Whereas silver, at least with silver, when our money is backed by silver, it has value, and it always will, based on the scarcity and, of course, the work to produce the silver that we have. And a perfect example of that is this quarter right here was minted in 1954. Now, in 1954, I don't know the exact price, but let's say gas was probably a quarter, maybe 20 cents, maybe 30 cents back then. Let's say gas was a quarter, and it's probably very, very close in 1954. So you could take this quarter in 1954 and you could go to the gas station. You could turn it in for a gallon of gas, right? You can't do that anymore, right? Well, you could if you had this 1954 quarter. You could take this 1954 quarter and you could sell it to a silver stacker, you could sell it to a bullion dealer, and you would get a few bucks for it, and then you could take that few dollars, and now you could go to the gas station and get yourself not only a gallon, but about a gallon and a half at today's prices of gasoline for this quarter, which is the same as you could have done back when this quarter was made. And that's just a perfect example of how silver has always kept up with inflation and probably always will keep up with inflation, like this quarter right there. So that just goes to show you that the value of our dollar has decreased over time. It's unfortunate, but if we would have been on the gold and silver standard, we would be looking at a much better inflation rate, because the government would have their hands tied. They wouldn't be able to just create money on a whim. They would have to do with what they had. They would have to live within their means. The government, while the government does a lot of good things, it does a lot of wasteful spending. I know people in the military that talk about military contracts for stuff that they pay $15,000 a piece for, like a certain type of radio that can now be produced for $20, but they have to keep paying it because they signed a contract with, A and B company to produce for that company exclusively to produce them at that price for the government for, so many years. And that's just an example of things that the government would be like, all right, well, we need to rethink this. We don't have unlimited funds, but now they kind of do. The more money that they pump into the economy without anything to back it, without labor to back it, without silver and gold to back it, the less that money becomes worth and the more expensive the things are. But at that same time, silver and gold also becomes more expensive, or in other words, it just, it passes against inflation and continues to be worth the same value. So, if you would have been storing your money, let's say in 1954, you would have been taking a bunch of paper dollars like this. Of course, you would have had smaller ones because this is much older than that. But if you would have been taking a bunch of paper dollars like this and you would have been putting them under your mattress, it wouldn't have done anything. But if you would have taken a whole lot of silver dollars like this, or quarters or half dollars, and been putting them under your mattress, at least your money would have been keeping up with inflation at the minimum. And that's just the fact of the matter. So as far as stacking is concerned, I think it's a really good time to pick it up. Now, I do realize that there is a premium, and we'll quote premiums because I'm starting to disagree with the word premium, and I use the word premium a lot, and I know exactly what it means. And basically, a premium for silver is the amount that you pay over spot price for a silver coin. So let's say that this $0.50 melts for $5, but you pay $8 for it. You paid a $3 premium. You paid $3 more than what the silver in the coin was worth. However, you got to remember that, the silver premium, or the silver spot price, I should say, is a number that is set by the stock market. It's set through future tradings on the stock market, where basically stockbrokers with millions and millions of dollars that buy thousands and tens of thousands of ounces of silver on paper, and then they trade those contracts around. That determines what the price of silver is. This stuff doesn't. This stuff in your hand does not determine the actual price, and I think that's why you're starting to see a major disconnect between the price of silver on the spot market or on the stock market and the physical price of silver in your hand, because there's a lot more of that paper silver out there that those millionaires and billionaires are trading back and forth to make a little bit of profit than there is in your hand. If you have a stockbroker that buys 1 million ounces of silver at $12 an ounce, and then it goes to $12.25 through trading, and now he can sell his 1 million ounces of silver at $12.25. Well, he just made 1 million quarters. That is $250,000. So he's not worried about this stuff. He's just worried about making those dollars, and it's very easy for him to do. And then, of course, when he sells that million ounces, that causes the price to go a little bit lower too. So it's artificially keeping the numbers low. And I think people are starting to realize, they're starting to see a disconnect between the true value of silver and the value of silver that's traded on the stock market through futures trading. So when you see premiums on stuff like this, when you see the amount that you're paying over spot for stuff like this, I'm not saying to ignore it. It's just that it's just a guide. It's just an idea. You're not going to really ever be able to get physical silver, like stuff like this, in your hand for that number. You might, sometimes, find a really good deal where someone has a whole lot of silver that they want to get rid of quick. But I would say for the most part, you're always going to be paying some sort of premium. Now, is that number over spot really high right now? Yes, it is. Will it ever come back down to where it was? Maybe. Probably, actually. But I would say that by time it comes back down to that, you're going to see silver back to $17, $18, $19, $20 an ounce and maybe more. And so what's the difference between paying $1 over spot when silver's $20 an ounce or paying $5 over spot when it's 13 or 14? It's not much of a difference. In fact, it's still cheaper to buy it now at 5 over with spot being at 14 than it would be to pay 1 over when spot's at 20. So that's kind of my point. The premium is basically driven by demand, and it's driven by availability. And there's there's a finite amount of silver out there. So I think, again, it's a really, really good time to stack silver. I think silver is incredibly undervalued because of those reasons and those reasons alone. In fact, I want to show you one website. If you guys have ever been to the U.S. debt clock, I want to show you something really quick. Let's head over to the U.S. debt clock and just take a look at what the true value of silver should be. Okay, guys, so we are on usdebtclock.org, and basically this website is a list of everything, all of our debts, all of our income, our GDP, everything that the U.S. financially is going through. Our entire economy is basically summed up in numbers. So what we're looking at over here, guys, is the dollar to silver ratio right now. And basically what this is, and if you highlight it, it shows you at the top, it says the year-over-year increase of the U.S. M2 money supply divided by the yearly world production of silver in ounces. So basically, if we were still on the gold and silver standard, this is how much per ounce silver should actually be worth. And it's essentially, if we were to have increased the price of silver up to a point where the U.S. government silver supply covers every single dollar ever printed, silver would have to be $1,988 per ounce right now. Now, if you compare that to 1913, it says $2.64. That is pretty crazy. Now, what's really crazy about it is if you look at the dollar to silver ratio versus the dollar to gold ratio, they are only at about 8.5 to 1, not even 8.5. Isn't that crazy? So it's crazy how much closer, because I know silver to gold right now is well over 110, 115, something like that to 1. But if you look at the debt clock, based on how much is being produced, if the government, if all of our money was covered by gold and silver, the amount of silver that the government has available, it would be $19.88 per ounce. Gold would be $16,478 per ounce. So that's kind of an eye-opening example of, when we opened up the floodgates of releasing our dollar from being secured by gold and silver, that's what our money should be worth right now. That's how much extra money the U.S. has produced out of thin air, how much debt that we're in. It's crazy. That's how much money has quite literally come out of thin air from the U.S. government since we went off of the gold and silver standard. So I just wanted to share that with you because it's kind of an eye-opening thing for everybody to see that silver really should be worth $2,000 an ounce. It's not, of course, but again, if we were to raise the price of silver to where the U.S. could cover every single dollar printed with an ounce of silver, it would cost $1,988 per ounce. So that's kind of crazy, really, to think about. Okay, guys, well, that's all I have for you today. I do hope that you enjoyed the video and learned a little bit of something. If you did, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. I would also love to hear below what your thoughts are. Leave comments. Let me know what you think. Am I wrong on something? Do you think I'm wrong on something? Do you want to tell me about something? Just let me know. I would definitely be interested in getting your thoughts. So let me know down below. And, I would love to talk to you. Guys, thank you so much. Once again, I will see you in the very next video. You guys have a wonderful day. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for watching the video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. Above me, you can click and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Up here, you can check out some of my other videos. And then over here, guys, there's a huge shout out to all of my silver, gold, and platinum channel members. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.